Hey guys, Patterns in Paradise welcomes you, philosophical travelers old and new. We have yet another podcast,
packed with contrast, meandering through wacky roads of mind, combining curious tangents intertwined. I'm Reggie.
and I am Monk. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode number 6. Yes,
XC.
Patterns in Paradise. XC, according to the language, with Reggie and Monk. Welcome, Reggie. Topic of conversation today. Hit it.
We are going to be touching on a number of interesting areas, basically, which helps us understand a more, not in depth, we're not going to go into detail today, but a slightly easier way of understanding the positive seeds that we should be planting every single day, just so we can actually achieve that positive lifestyle. So we're going to be basically understanding the areas of our lives as to how we can actually benefit from taking the good things out of every single moment within our day. Now, I'm sure many people, as well as yourself, Monk, and myself too, have seen posts on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, YouTube even, on adverts, where someone is simply screaming at you saying, make your life better, pretty much. How do you make your life better? Do you spend 10 minutes annoyed with someone because of a 2-second decision? Or would you rather spend the 23 hours and 50 minutes enjoying the rest of your day? Those 10 minutes that had been ruined, let's say, by one person because of a simple 2-second decision, it should not ruin your day. And I'm sure many people have seen these posts before. I certainly have. That may be also just because it's the algorithm of Instagram playing up, but who knows? It's definitely an area we should look at, I think, in more detail ourselves, because it's very, very true though. Like, if you think about it, if you are actually thinking and continuously sort of playing around the idea that someone has done you wrong, someone cut up in front of you while you're driving, or when you're on the bus, someone sits in the seat that you wanted to sit in, or starts an argument with someone that is not necessary, or literally something that could potentially ruin your day, but that only happens within maybe 5 minutes of your day. Are you actually going to let that impact the remainder? Okay, it's not going to be 24 hours because we're going to be sleeping. So let's say you have an average of 8 hours of sleep. That will leave you with the remaining 16 hours of the day.
Right, and to what
16,
extent?
14.
Yeah, roundabout.
My
I
maths
mean,
is
if
correct.
we have, let's say, 8 hours of sleep, and one might say, oh, but 16 hours awake, are we really going to let that, let's say, some incident happen that gave us 10 minutes of negative emotion? Are we going to let that then affect the rest of our day? And one may tend to say, oh, I'm practicing controlling my emotions today. Hey, I'm practicing making sure I'm not planting negative seeds of thought in my mind. I'm practicing making sure that I'm not practicing negative emotions of anger and hate and screw that guy because he cut me off in traffic, or that he took my favorite bagel at the coffee line. Whereas we think to ourselves, what is the effect of, let's say, reacting to negative stimulus on our sleep?
Yeah.
What's someone's quality of sleep going to be like if that entire day they were just... What does that do to a person's psyche before they go to bed, where normally their body would
Subconsciously.
yeah, all those negative seeds that they planted in the field of their mind throughout the day? Who knows how that could play up in the course of a day? And in the opposite way, what we get to try and establish today, or at least scratch the surface of, is what is the positive version of that? How can we go about
Exactly.
implementing positive change in our lives through practical, small daily decisions that then help us forge incredibly positive lifestyles?
Yeah. And I think one of the best ways to do that is simply to not focus on the negative action or lack of action from any individual other than yourself. Now, of course, if you do something where you feel like you've been a muppet or an idiot for not completing something, of course, that's going to be a much bigger impact on your day than if someone cuts you up in the traffic. Someone cuts you in the traffic, yeah, okay, yell, scream at them, whatever. But after that first 30 seconds burst of anger, leave it. Continue jamming along to the music that you got playing on in the car, or continue actually concentrating on the podcast you're listening to, depending on what you enjoy during your car journey. For me, driving to work, I'm listening to podcasts now. I used to have Afro pop on, to be honest, because it makes me happy in the morning to listen to something from home. And it's been a wonderful sort of transition. And now obviously listening to the podcasts in the morning, it puts you into a very different mindset. So if you're taking those simple negative things, but you're giving yourself the opportunity to turn it into a positive later, to say, you know what, I got annoyed, I'm over it, it's not a big deal. You're actually going to have a better day, more likely, than if you're to say, I'm so annoyed, this guy cut me off, when you actually get into work and you start speaking to your colleagues. Why? Because then suddenly you've projected the negativity to them as well. And suddenly now they're also feeling the negativity. And you're not only impacting yourself, you're impacting others. And that small negative 30 seconds could be a domino effect, not only on your own day, but someone else's. So switch it slightly by changing a simple behavior, and that's to ignore after your outburst. I'm not saying don't outburst. Do it by all means. Let it out. If you're the type of person that has to, absolutely go ham. Maybe put your windows up just in case some walkers don't hear you absolutely going off at this person. Or even do. Doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, someone's opinions are someone's opinions.
Stare them in the eye.
We are doing our own lives.
Eye in a certain dominance.
Yeah. But that's one simple example I have. I mean, I've definitely seen an increase in my own happiness just daily, simply from changing my morning routine with driving. Like this guy. How many people do you think are probably going to the guy driving on the bike? That's meaning, I don't know if that was loud enough for you to hear, but how many people are probably thinking, what an idiot, or how annoying? Yeah, he is, maybe. Maybe he's not even wearing a helmet, who knows? But is that your responsibility to think about that anymore? After the first 30 seconds that you've thought about this topic or that action?
Right,
It's not
irresponsible dude on a motorbike going past suburban houses, revving his engine to almighty heaven as hard as he can, just to make noise. Or let alone those youngsters who drive around on the little scooters and they take off the silencer on the exhaust and they just go around, and you think to yourself, buddy, what are you trying to show off? Are you just trying to make noise? And we
to get attention, purely that's it.
Yeah, the attention. We get to decide, do we get ticked off at that person for the rest of the day? Do we let them affect us? Or do we seek to have enough control over our own internal world, as they say, to be able to thus control our own reactions to that stimulus and instead respond rationally, or at least from a position of strength? where if you want to get angry in the car and you're bashing your steering wheel, again, don't set off the airbag because that could be really embarrassing and potentially fatal.
Could you imagine someone just cuts in?
Imagine explaining that to the mortuary.
Are you okay? No, I'm not bloody okay.
Can you imagine trying to explain that at a mortuary? On a little tangent we're going. Can you imagine trying to explain that to the mortician who's trying to prepare your body for the funeral, and then at the eulogy it's like, yes, this was Bob. It was a good man. He paid his bills, was a loving husband. Hey, but fuck, he died of that. But on a serious note, though, I mean, some people really need to get that anger out. Mine is, weird as it sounds, punching walls, kicking trees, a lot of bodily like conditioning. I mean, if I have a punching bag, cool. If I don't, ooh, problem. Other people, it's, you know what, going for that daily gym routine. For other people, it's screaming to a pillow. For other people, it's if they get pissed off in traffic, they wind the windows up, take 10 seconds and yell their heads off. But at least they have an understanding that that's their way of releasing a lot of pent-up rage and emotion that would otherwise seep out. Maybe not as instantaneously as in, let's say, the roar in a car when you just, but will seep out through the day, little bit by little bit. It's your co-workers, your wife, your children, your husband, your boss, whatever may be the case. And how valuable that is in the long run of even just one interaction.
I mean, yeah. Look, for someone who actually cares about your life or what you're going through, whatever, whether it's colleague, loved one, or boss or friend, whomever it may be, if they have some care for you and you're expressing your dissatisfaction or anger, they're going to try and sympathize with you and feel like they need to help you from that anger or from that annoyance. And how are they going to do that? By trying to think about how you feel, and that could potentially also have a negative impact on them as well. Now, do you really want to be doing that to someone who actually wants to help you? Potentially making them worse than how they actually started out with you? No. So let's all do ourselves a favor here. And let's find our own inner peace with these small issues that create anger and annoyance every single day. As soon as we start finding the little seeds, the little negative ones, we can actually change the course of the day. Then after the day becomes the week. After the week becomes the month, etc. Who knows? Maybe after a week, this guy's probably going to be actually driving his motorbike nice and calmly, or he might end up actually selling that and getting a nice little Harley. Still creating noise, but he's being safe.
What's profound though, Reg, about what you just said there is how that can even negatively affect those people who would try to help us out, loved ones, those who care for us, because in its own way, they have to force themselves to jump into and expose themselves to our darkness, dare we say, dark emotions, dark thoughts, darkness being not even some super mystical kind of thing, but just
I get what you mean. The negativity within yourself. I know what you
mean. The negativity within oneself. I mean, take, for example, our backgrounds. These are perfect examples. You're surrounded by a background of light, whereas if I do this now, I'm surrounded by a background of darkness. Imagine the difference between two people walking into a room, one of which has been dealing with the day in a very negative way, and the other of which who has been dealing with the day in a positive way, constantly trying to stay present to emotions, constantly trying to stay present to state of mind. What am I giving off? What energy am I giving off? And it's not so much to say, I'm scared of what people think about me. It's like, no, I want to be aware of what I'm giving off so that I don't subconsciously give off bad vibes that could affect me, my family, business opportunities. And this whole mentality, again, we see on Instagram, don't give a fuck about people, just grind for yourself. It's like, okay, fella, don't give a fuck about people and see where that gets you. See where that gets you. Not giving a damn about anyone. Oh, I do things for me. Okay, good luck. Oops. Maybe 1 in 1,000 people can do that. I might be quoting Jordan Peterson here. We'll have to put the man a plug here earlier. But the rest of us, we're social animals. We feed off each other's energies.
Yeah, we're socialized.
Socialized. So as a result, I mean, you walk into the room, Reg, and you're positive and smiley and happy and saying, you know what, guys, let's have the best day we possibly can. And if you don't like it, you're not part of my day, right? I choose to separate myself from your negativity. And if I'm in the same office as you, stay the other side. Whereas someone else who walks in and says, boss and car and that person is not encouraging goodness in their life. That person is planting thorns everywhere. And surprise, surprise, they lose friends, relationships, opportunities, or just live a horrible life. Is it worth it?
I would love to just put in a bit of an example here in regards to something very similar to what you're saying. So you walk into the office or you walk into your job, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, self-employed or employed by an employer, doesn't matter. Wherever you working, wherever you walk into, there are people there and you have this negative emotion. You walk in, you're like, the car overheated. Prime example, what happened to me a couple of weeks ago, whatever, I think it was maybe, almost a week ago, week and a half. My car, my Audi, had overheated. And I was honestly in a shitstorm. I was crapping myself. I got lost in a construction site in some industrial area, which I have no idea where the heck I was, with not a lot of fuel, with no oil and no water, and the car was overheating. I was honestly crapping myself. Didn't know what to do. I called my one of my bosses, and I was like, I'm sorry, I've had a bit of a car problem, but the car is overheated. However, I will try to get to work as soon as possible. I'm going to try and find a gas station, put some oil and water, and drive slowly to work. To which my sort of not detriment, my happiness, actually, he said, take your time, no problem, just be safe. Very, very nice. So anyway, long story short, I managed to get back to work. First thing everyone does, are you okay? Well, not everyone, but the people that obviously knew. And that obviously sparked questions within others. Now, I didn't then go into a negative sort of ball and saying, I had such problems with this and this and this. Now I just don't know how my day is going to be. It's already 10 o'clock. I don't know what work I need to catch up on or what I need to do in regards to catch up with the time I've missed from work. No. What was my reaction? Yeah, things happen. Oh, well, but guess what? I'm here. I'm at work. I'm not stranded.
Thank goodness.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to finish my day and I'm going to do the work that I can. And I ended up actually having a fairly decent day at work after that. And that's simply just because of one simple little switch, which is not coming in and saying, I messed up, or it is such a mess for me to be in this situation. Changed it completely. Thank you very much. You are very noisy tonight.
Hey, Reg, on a quick pause note there. It would
Go for
seem
it.
like we are requiring to take a quick break. Guys, we'll be back with you in just a sec, but then continuing on the absolutely phenomenal point of a slight shift just on that day of not complaining and how that changes everything in the course of a day, not only for yourself, but for every single coworker in that building who was saved from potential negative emotions by your actions. Reg, guys,
Exactly.
we'll be with you in just one sec. Quick ad break.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
If you ever wanted to start a podcast but didn't know where to get started, didn't know how to get started, or were intimidated by the whole process of recording, editing, synchronizing, and creating your own podcast from scratch, let alone marketing it and then running analytics, then look no further. Anchor is the premium podcasting platform out there, directly connected to Spotify, and they will directly market and distribute your podcast for you to outlets such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and many other different outlets for free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and create your podcast right from your phone or computer. Right from your phone or computer. With a simple, easy to use display that allows you to go from idea stage to recording to publishing in as little time as humanly possible, while teaching you the essential basic skills needed to host, run, and evaluate your own podcast. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I repeat, anchor.fm to get started. Reggie and I would not be in such a position, so easily able to plan out the releases of our podcast step after step after step, and getting ideas from inside our brains out into the microphone and out into the public as easy as we are without the use of Anchor. These guys are a game changer and will change your podcasting experience. Anchor.fm to get started. Back to the studio with Reggie and Monk. Enjoy.
And we are back after a lovely break. Not a Kit Kat break, but just a break. Sorry.
I mean, I have a Kit Kat as well, but take a break.
I mean, I would love one. Three.
Nah, miss.
Hashtag diabetes.
Please not. We get to promote health and well-being and positive lifestyles.
Exactly. So why are you advertising you're going to have 3 Kit Kats then?
Because the vending machine is so close. No, but seriously though, guys, I mean, just before we left on the break, Reg was pointing out a particular situation where he could have decided after all that car trouble to walk into the office and to make everyone's life miserable. And the irony is, Reg, just like you were mentioning earlier, even those people who would have said, hey, it's okay. Hey, pat on the shoulder. You're all right. Hey, tell me your problem. Even those people who are willing to help, not to drag them down with you in a way. And that is such an underestimated point, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult for some people to even comprehend the idea of not expressing how they felt in those situations. Like, of course, okay, fine. Express how you feel. Say that, yeah, it was a stressful and anxious moment, but I got through it. At the end of the day, I am healthy. Because this moment in time, I don't mind. Why? Because I'm selling it. In circumstances, if you're keeping the car, yeah, you might. The following aspect: why would you project that negativity on someone else? If you want to share your feelings, because the people who are around you, let's say, give you that nice support, but not in the way that they take all of the negativity away, in a way that they're like, oh, well, at least you're here, at least you're well. There's a bit of support there, but they're not willing to sort of extract that negativity to lay into them, and they set the negative parts into simple negative seeds into positive ones. So if we're keeping with the analogy of plants and seeds and growth, then let's take this negative seed as a rotten seed. It's been planted. The more of those in the plant flower pot there are, the less chances there actually are. My English has gone to pot because I'm tired, but I don't care. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the pure seeds, the positive thoughts, how many are there in the pot now that are actually worth growing? Maybe 2, 3. But at the end of the day, if you give them the right amount of water and the right amount of sun, they'll give you probably a better looking plant. So what is the water? It's the acceptance. So taking the negative, accept it, pour the water over it, so that the following positive thought has the chance to actually absorb the nutrients from the water and obviously the soil being yourself internally, and actually keeping the positivity flowing.
And again, it's all down to us. How do we till the soil? How do we take care of it ourselves, for example? How do we go about ensuring that the particular seeds that we plant, right, positive thoughts, or at very least not planting negative thoughts? I mean, that's a start.
Yeah.
How important that is, especially for our long-term growth, because as much as it's just planting seeds, we may not see the plants for years down the line, until the day when the seeds start to sprout and germinate, and we start seeing the results of the positive.
You see a little leaf.
Planted. You see the little leaf, but that leaf came from somewhere. Some thought that we had a long time ago, some action that we performed a long time ago, that's now either coming back to bite us or coming back to pay us dividends. And this is something on my end that I'd say I've been battling with for the last year, is falling into a somewhat of a mindset of, oh, nice motorbike, falling into somewhat of a mindset of being able to identify when I've been planting thorns, as they say. For example, when I'm about to do something that is probably not recommended, or at least that's not good for me, or when I'm in the middle of thinking negative thoughts, or when I'm in the middle of doing something that is just not good, right? We all have those moments where before we do something, we kind of tell, I should probably not be having that beer. I probably shouldn't be going out with the lads if I've got XYZ things to do. But hey, because they said come for a few drinks and it's the lads, I feel obligated to go. We all know those feelings and 1,000 others.
Yeah.
Now, in many ways, just noticing our bad behaviors is one thing. That's like noticing that, oh, I'm about to plant something negative. Oh, wait, I caught it. No, I didn't. Look at me, king cool. Okay, no problem. It's all good, George, right? It's all good not planting that bad seed. But what good seed gets planted in its place, right? Because then you just have an empty flower pot where nothing grows. So
or rather, what do you do with that negative seed?
Yeah.
Since you've caught it, what do you do?
How can you trade it in, right? If let's say you have a thorn, right? Let's say, for example, someone cut you off in traffic, or God forbid the bus came late, or little things like that, pulling out a notepad and saying, can I get 20 minutes of journaling done while I wait for the bus? So that's like taking a negative seed, dude, positive seed right there. You got 20 minutes of journaling done, and you used an otherwise rather annoying situation like waiting for the bus to take advantage of it. And it does seem like life is a continuous cycle of these events. And again, it's linked in with our mini podcast on perspective we did a while back, in terms of, again, it's all down to perspective. It's all down to how a person can find a way of shifting the lens at which they view the world. Even if it's some horrendous traumatic event that forever changes a person's life, how can they come back from that and find some way of taking those, a huge handful of negative seeds, and planting?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the idea of the perspectives with the glasses, like you're saying, changing the lenses is a difficult but also easy task at hand. Now, you might be thinking easy for some of you. For others, you might be thinking hard. Well, again, simply comes down to you and how easy it is for you to actually accept the change. For myself, I'm quite easily acceptable to change on certain things. Why? Because I know there's a better chance for me for something else. But in some other aspects, it's like, why am I changing my thoughts here? Why would I want to think of that differently? But we all have these little barriers in different places within our lives. How do we change that? By accessing our minds in a way to actually knock on the door, to say, you're the one that's giving me the restrictions. Now let's open you up.
Right. It's not just a matter of knocking on the door, but walking inside, actually doing something after that initial knock, right? It's like with the seeds example you were mentioning earlier. If the soil is yourself, it's all good, let's say, putting as many good seeds as you can in the soil. But if you don't accept the fact that you need the water, right, the acceptance of the current situation at hand, then one is not physiologically prepared to embark on any kind of change. Because if we're going to go somewhere first, somewhere different from where we are now, we need to know where we're at now. We need to know that we are outside the door, still knocking, saying, hey, brain, I realize, or in this case, subconscious mind, I realize the games you're playing. I realize you make me want to do some really hedonistic, dastardly, evil stuff on like a daily basis. I mean, we all have some crazy thoughts. But the difference is knocking on that door and saying, hello, I not only recognize that you're there, but I open the door and walk inside, which one could say is equivalent to taking new action. It's all good.
Yes.
Stopping bad.
I think that's the best.
Advantage, but
I think that's the best analogy we can give in regards to actually accessing and changing the potential ideas of positivity. And as soon as we start making those little changes, now these doors are not going to be very big doors. They're going to be very slight doors. Simple things, like maybe waking up in the morning, instead of waking up on your 5th alarm, waking up on the 1st or the 3rd. Simple things like that will give you that ability to actually start changing your lifestyle to become more positive. So actually taking action by opening the door, in this instance, is going to be the best opportunity and best chance you will give yourself to change those negative thorns, as you were saying, in replacing it for a positive seed.
Right, it's got to be through action. It's got to be through action. And ironically,
well, there's no other way.
Ironically, you're mentioning earlier how different kinds of people are so varying in, oh, this is easy. It's easy for me to notice when I'm having dark thoughts or whatnot. Or this is difficult for me. The irony is, and let me ask you this, Reg, what do you notice with yourself? Do you find it's easier to catch yourself in the midst of thinking badly, feeling badly, or acting badly? And what do you find easiest to correct? Like, let's give an example, right? So on my end, it's really easy for me to notice when I'm thinking bad, like wrong thoughts, but then changing the actions, that's tougher. What's your take on that for yourself? How do you compartmentalize that in your own brain?
So in terms of realizing, 9 times out of 10, it would be from the actual thought of an action. It's something that has happened over where I've become a lot more aware of my thoughts. But being able to actually stop myself in certain actions, like speaking out, or in some cases speaking out when I when I wouldn't have. So actually having a voice in cases that would actually better me. For example, I'll go again back to work, because I've gone through a very big sort of change in terms of my personality throughout the years that I've been working in Cyprus. And I'm going to keep changing. I know that. And it's going to be for the better, 100%. Because to be honest, I don't think we can change ourselves for the worse unless you're not actually looking out for yourself. Now, if you're actually wanting a better life, then of course, every little change that you make within your life, there will be a beneficial reason for why you've done it. You're doing it at the end of the day because you want it for yourself. But I actually spoke up in regards to some concerns I have. And guess what? I ended up having a 30-minute conversation with my boss that ended up with him and I becoming just that little bit closer, which in the long run might become a lot more useful for me to have that slight bit better connection with my boss.
And it's not even the case that it's an attempt at manipulation or any kind of Machiavellian stunt, but it's out of a pure, authentic representation of yourself in a situation where you felt you needed to speak out, and that whatever happened, you at least telling the truth not only would let you have weight off your shoulders, but would let you say, you know what, now that the truth is out, now that the cards are open, let's see what's going to happen. And how often is it that, I mean, imagine if we were bosses, I mean, let's put ourselves in the situation of someone who's, let's say, managing 5 employees, 10, 20, 100, when we're probably so used to getting people being yes men. I mean, maybe I'm just talking for myself here, and who knows, I might be different in the future, but it's like, fellas, I want you to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. I don't care if in the office you swear, you cuss, all right? There's going to be a weekly day or a monthly day where I show up to the office dressed like an absolute idiot. It's going to be like a throw a pie day at the boss. Boss has to do some challenge, like run across the hallway and get paintball gunned. Some crazy thing just to get the employees to remember that once a month, just remember your boss is also human. He's got problems. He's got insecurities. He's a fucking quack and an idiot in so many different ways that you guys can possibly understand. And that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please continue.
In regards to that, don't make it a set day. Make it random. Surprise them. You don't make it a set day, because then it's gonna be even more authentic, and it's just gonna be like, was not expecting that today.
Right.
And you know what? That little boost might be someone's twist to make their day incredibly better. And guess what? It came from the boss. How big of a difference is that gonna be?
Huge.
Exactly.
Making that initial connection. But again, that's all just talk for now. I mean, let's not make it too extreme to the point where Forbes starts saying, we have a list of the 500 worst bosses around the world. He was consistently paintballing his employees, highly unadvisable. Yeah, at least Rottweiler's upon his 5 worst employees of the month.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think to sort of conclude basic sort of conversation as to scratching the surface in regards to utilizing positive seeds to ingrain a positive lifestyle. Basically, we need to be aware on the small negative aspects by simply trying to catch them, whether it's a thought or an action or lack of action that is actually appearing. Once you've noticed it, hold on to it and find a way of amalgamating, or I've butchered that word, changing or adapting it into a positive. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be from acceptance. Accept the negative point and move on. You know how I find that the best way, purely just because once you've accepted the negativity, it gives you the chance to say, you know what, I'm better now because I know it was bad, but it's finished, it's done. What can I do to change that negative thing?
It was bad, and I wasn't, quite frankly, lying to myself or lying to ourselves, or even imagine this countrywide, mate. I mean, there's an old saying that totalitarian government only comes around when everybody's willing to partake in the lie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens when even enough people within a country, without getting too political here, but I mean, when enough people within a country stop really trying to behave authentically and almost begin to toe what someone else has told them, thoughts, feelings, and actions and whatnot, as opposed to truly analyzing and questioning, okay, why do I feel like this? Hey, Reggie, why did you do that, for interest sakes? Hey, what are your thoughts on XYZ? And any other guest that comes on, it just seems the reason we're doing this is in many ways to just help people open up their own minds and ask the big questions. Like, you're not just a machine at the whim of someone else. Yes, we're very programmable, as it's been found out the last couple of thousand years, from the very first propaganda through to the stories and the tales we've been told. It's very easy to program us, but just to question, to say, are my thoughts really my thoughts, or is that a thorn that I could potentially catch, look at it and accept and say, right, that's there, now how can I change it? And end of the day, guys, if y'all have any particular ideas or personal strategies that you figured out that have helped you in your lives to really integrate positive changes and to weed out negative habits, guys, contact us on Instagram, Facebook, really any other social media you can possibly think of. We should have them all of them, but for now, just Instagram and Facebook. We're keeping it nice and simple and cozy. This has been Reggie and Monk. Thank you very much. Reg, any final words?
Yeah. Good night to all the lovely bikers.
Lovely bikers.
Don't crash unless you're being particularly stupid, in which case you do deserve it. again, that's just a simple thing. But hey, that's
Love.
a small negative thing that we can easily change and become better.
Like, wear a
At the end of the
helmet,
day,
please.
Yeah.
Wear a helmet.
just you have it on your wrist. Just put it on your head where it's supposed to be, and you'll be better.
Guys,
Anyway.
good night. Much love.
As we say in Cyprus, Kalinika, and I hope we all have a wonderful evening, day, month, whatever it is.